Epiphany is solar and wind powered for the most part. We've got a backup generator, we've got an engine we can run to charge batteries, but 99% of our power, 0.9 probably, because we haven't run the engine in weeks and haven't run the generator 6 months, almost a year, comes from solar and wind. Let me show you our current setup. We're currently running 4 100-watt solar panels mounted on top of the dinghy davits in the back there, and 2 225-watt solar panels over the bimini. This is all on frames that I've built. And we've got 1600-watt wind generator there, 1600-watt wind generator there, and 1200 amp hours of lithium iron phosphate batteries. But we need more power for cloudy days. Sunny days, we do fine. Blue sky, we do fine. Windy days, we don't do bad. But with these hurricanes back to back and cloudy days, we struggle for the amount of power we want, so we're going to increase it. But as you can see, we're out of room. So what we're going to do is add 200-watt solar panels. I've got 2 of them. There's one right there. We're going to build frames that'll attach here and expand our footprint off the back. They will hinge up for use, but when we're tied to a dock, since we're going to be much wider, we don't want to hit the piling and damage anything, we'll be able to hinge them down out of the way, much like we do our fish cleaning table. So let's get to work on building some frames that'll hinge out and add 400 more watts of solar panels. That'll give us a total of 1250 watt of solar panels charging 1200 amp hours of batteries. The idea is to incorporate these clamp around bimini clamps onto the existing frame. As you can see, I've put one here, and then bolt this hinge to it. You see the hinge swings down, and we can swing the panel up and brace it in that position. And then when we want to get close to a dock or a piling, be able to swing the panel down so we don't break it against the piling. So that is the plan. One small adaptation to these hinges, the holes are not quite big enough for the pins to go through. So we've got to drill them out. So this bolt, which goes through this end of the brackets, will fit through the hinge. So we've got our drill. Let's do some drilling. You can see it don't take much. These almost fit, but not quite. There we go. Just drill them out a little bit with our drill to where 1/4 inch will fit through, and then the bimini clamp will work. So that's how the hinges are going to fit once I get it clamped onto the bimini, but you can see the tail of the hinge interferes with the clamp. I don't need the full length of them, so I'm going to cut them off to where only 1 bolt hole engages. Like this, and they'll rest up against this square edge. So let me get them marked like that and cut them off. So this is how the clamps go on the tubing. And you can see I've cut the hinge off, so it'll fit right in there nicely. And we can bolt it in place. It's kind of tricky to do holding the camera with one hand, but there we go. And that'll be the orientation of the hinge. So I think that's going to work beautiful. Now we've cut some stainless steel tubing. It's a little longer, it's 63 inches. It's what I need to make these hinges work. That I'm going to bolt to the bottom of the solar panel frame. So I've got to drill some mounting holes to affix it to the solar panel. And of course, trying to drill on anything round is a pain, so you use a spring-loaded center punch. And that way you can start your drill without it running. Rigid solar panels are basically rigid because of the glass they're made with. The frames are a real light aluminum, but we've had good success through 6 hurricanes, 2 in the past month, with mounting them on stainless steel pipes with 3/4 inch screws, and none of them are blown off. So that's the design that I'm sticking with. So let me finish laying this out, drill me some holes here, and there, and mount this other stainless steel tubing. And as always, spring-loaded center punch. See that little divot there that the drill bit will start in. Now before you drill through this rail, you got to realize there's a glass panel behind it. So I have a plastic cutting board I place up underneath there. So when I pop through this aluminum, I don't hit the glass and break it with the drill bit. Ask me how I know that happens. Ah! Did you see the cutting board move? I didn't chip the glass. And of course we use stainless steel hardware to attach these. But another note I want to make is use a flat washer and use nylon lock nuts. This way nothing will vibrate loose, and you're not going to pull that nut through this aluminum frame when you have a big thunderstorm. The wind's not going to rip it through that hole. And mine have survived 6 hurricanes and 1 tropical storm. So I'm sticking with this design. All right, got the longitudinal stainless steel tubings attached to the solar panel. Now I've got to put the cross braces on, which I'm measuring up. And we'll put them at each end, this end and at the other end, so that the braces that hold the solar panels in the extended flat position, just like this fish cleaning table, will attach to the outside of those tubes, so they can swing up 180 degrees when we fold them down after we attach them to the brackets for the hinge. So let's get to drilling and cutting and put these on. And another trick to drilling your stainless tubing and getting in your holes straight, of course you want your spring-loaded center punch to start a little indentation to get your drill started, but clamp your tubing down to a board with vice grips, and that'll keep it from rolling around while you're trying to get your drill started. One of the challenge in pre-drilling these holes to mount these on this frame is keeping the holes square. So a little trick I use is a screwdriver through one hole and line that up vertical, clamp your pipe down and drill your second hole. And as long as you keep that handle straight, this hole's straight. And I've got the brackets I'm going to use to attach to the hinges on the corners. Look at that. Gordon and I took advantage of the light winds to hang this solar panel. And let me get up here. It looks good. And it allows us to use that space So let me show you how it swings out. And that's what I've got to make now. Be the next part of the project. Is these tubing braces. So when we swing the solar panel out, we can prop it up. So let me work on that. Just using 1/4-inch bolt with a lock nut for this hinge connection here. Just 2 pieces of tubing with a bolt between them. And see, it hinges out. And this end will set in that connector there. And we have a spring pin that'll hold that in place there. Now I just got to make the one for this other end. So let me get that done. And there she is, 200 more watts of solar panels in a swing out configuration, so they can be let down when we're against the dock, and they're up high off the water so we can use them sailing. And they're just pinned in place with these spring pins here. You can see I put another spring pin there, so I can let them down easily. So now I just got to do the wiring. So first solar panel's up. Let's work on second solar panel, which will go wing on wing on the port side. So let me get to cutting tubing and building the frame. The frame is on, patterned after the other one. And there's the hardware. Time to put the hardware on and get ready to hang this. Now comes the tricky part, and oh, I don't know if it's an engineering masterpiece, but it's a good idea. Got my hinges on, and the other half of the hinges are up on the rails. And you can see I've got a line on this that goes out and around the wind generator and over to that corner. As we feed the solar panel out over the rail, I'll be on the other end taking up slack and drift it down there to get the pin in that end, and then we'll pin this in. And that's how you do it with limited access. There's our 200 watt swing out port solar panel and our 200 watt swing out starboard side. So that gives us 1250 watts now. And the wiring is much simpler. These are the 2 wires from the outboard panel, and I plug into this panel and series through this panel, and it goes right into the wiring going to the controller. Same thing on the other side, just plug that panel in series between these 2 panels. So no drastic wiring back here, and now I just got to go change out to the bigger controllers. You can see it's overcast, which is a great day to be doing this. And you can see right here the circuit's complete. Producing power. Producing power. It's not a lot because it's cloudy. 12.7 volt, 0.19 amp. 12.8 volt. But when the sun comes out tomorrow, she be kicking butt. But we'll change out these 2 controllers. This is a 40 watt, 40 amp. These are only 20s. Now I've got to increase the size of these, and I've got them right here. So we'll do that here in a minute. And now we're wiring in the new controllers. The only difference is these are 40 amp because I'm running 400 watts of solar on them instead of 200. So the other ones were 30 with 200. This one's got 250 on it. And that was 200 amp hours on the 30 watt. We've increased it to 40 watt. Now we've got to just replace this last one. And a beautiful sunny morning means power with our new setup. Let me see, this is 400 watts making 54 volts, 14 amps. 400 watts making 55 volts, 12.5 amps. 450 watts, make them 33 volts, 14 amps. So that's our setup. Batteries are full. It's 11 o'clock in the morning and we're happy.